Good afternoon and welcome to Eye On Sheridan. I'm Ben Carter.
And I'm Emily Johnson. On today's show, Spreading the Net, we check out Sheridan's efforts to stop malaria in Africa. We'll also have an update on the U.S. cruise ship stuck at sea and tell you about a new study that finds the HPV vaccine may not be as safe as you think.
A 17-year-old boy has been charged with manslaughter in the shooting death of a 15-year-old. The victim, who police have said cannot be named, was shot outside his housing complex in the Jane and Finch area Monday. Paramedics found the boy with no vital signs and he succumbed to his injuries in hospital. 3 people face charges, but the 17-year-old, who cannot be identified under the Youth Criminal Justice Act, is the only one facing charges for the boy's death. This marks the 3rd time in a month that a minor has been killed by a firearm in the Toronto area. Staying in Toronto, a bizarre story involving a cop and a sex toy. Video taken from inside a police station shows Constable Legero Cafe wielding sex toys and asking a tow truck driver in custody which one he wants to use. Charges were laid against the officer, but were later dropped. The driver, Jagdish Turbani, is now calling for Cafe's dismissal and says he will file a lawsuit. The Ontario Ministry of Health and Toronto EMS are both investigating an incident that saw a 87-year-old woman die after waiting 3 hours for an ambulance. Dispatch were sent to the deceased location only to be diverted to other calls. Toronto EMS say that the wait time was due to limited resources.
Sheridan Peer Mentors will be hosting a flash mob and dance party to support the 1 Billion Rising movement. Rising is part of V-Day, an organization that strives to raise awareness and help put an end to violence against women and girls. This is the first time V-Day is organizing the campaign and marks the 15th anniversary of the global activist movement. The event will be held in the Learning Commons and in front of the library starting tomorrow at 2 p.m. If you can't make it to the school, don't worry. For creative ways to raise, check out www.onebillionrising.com.
Keeping your eyes on the road will be of utmost importance this week. Toronto police are targeting drivers in the downtown core as part of the Don't Drive Distracted campaign. If you're caught using your handheld device behind the wheel, you could be hit with a fine of up to $500. According to the survey by the OPP, more than 65% of drivers don't use their wireless device while driving, but they want to convince more people to stay safe. Tim Hortons is launching a new pilot project in Oakville. It partnered with Oakville Hydro and the town of Oakville to install an electric vehicle charging station. The first charger is located at the Tim's on Wycroft Road. Customers who visit can use the station for free. The restaurant hopes to study the future opportunities and science of EV charging stations, and discussions continue with other municipalities to expand the green service to other locations.
The Auto Show comes to Toronto this Friday. This year's festival marks the 40th anniversary of the Canadian debut of more than 40 cars, SUVs, trucks, and concept vehicles. Industry analysts say the trend to watch is more production of hybrid gas vehicles. In addition to that, Honda, Hyundai, and Porsche will be going up against each other in a battle for the Canadian Car of the Year. Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne will appear before Legislative Committee investigating a decision to cancel the construction of 2 gas plants. The cancellation of the plants that are located in Oakville and Mississauga is believed to have cost taxpayers more than $230 million. Wynne has also asked Auditor General Jim McCarter to review both locations.
OSAP is often the solution if you're having trouble paying for school, but now the Ontario PC Party is proposing financial aid only go to students with high grades. So what do you think? Is this cash for good marks fair?
It doesn't make sense. Why would you only give money to people who are smart and not who actually need it?
But it's a free country, right? So everyone has the same rights, and just because you have the highest grades doesn't mean you should be the only one entitled to having it.
It's already enough stress as it is to be a student, to juggle your personal life, work commitments, and now they're going to just add the stress of threatening you with, if you don't get good grades, we're not going to give you OSAP.
The Liberal government and Ontario's public elementary school teachers will meet today at Queen's Park. Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne assembled a transition team in an attempt to resume after-school activities. A handful of representatives from each side will be among those meeting, along with 2 government mediators. Education Minister Liz Sandals said it is her priority to get extracurriculars back on track.
The HPV vaccine has been administered to girls and women since 2006, with the belief that it would prevent HPV infections and, as a result, cervical cancer. But a recent UBC study shows that the vaccine may have deadly side effects. Andrea Stathers has the details.
The arm that I got it in was extremely sore, and I suffered from extreme migraines for the next few days afterwards.
Honestly, it is probably one of the most dangerous vaccines out there, judging by the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it may turn out that the risk-benefit ratio is going to totally change, and it may turn out that it does everything it's supposed to do, and that the number of people it saves are going to vastly exceed the number of people that it makes ill, but so far that hasn't been true.
The study shows that women who have had the HPV vaccine have suffered from extreme migraines and soreness at the injection site. The researchers say there are reported cases of epileptic seizures, and the most severe reactions have led to death. The study included autopsy results of women who had been given Gardasil. Researchers are unsure if there are the same issues with Cervarix, but here at Sheridan, the health center is following public health guidelines that recommend the HPV vaccine.
Well, it is the most commonly transmitted, sexually transmitted infection. A lot of women don't know that they even have it because it can go asymptomatic, and it is the main cause of cervical cancer.
The core assumption that, and again, demonstrably wrong, is that if you have HPV infection, you're going to go on to get cervical cancer. That's not true. Whether or not it would diminish it below the level that pap smears do is very questionable. In fact, very unlikely.
I didn't go back for the second or third shot. The side effects that I had were pretty scary.
Nicole and the researchers agree that before you decide to get the HPV vaccine, that you take a look at all of the literature. Also, make sure that your healthcare provider is aware of the latest findings. For Eye On Sheridan, I'm Andrea Stathers.
Torontonians and suburban 905ers are in for a change when dialing a friend's phone number. Residents of both areas will see new area codes. The 437 is being added to the 416 and 647 areas, while 365 will be added to 905 and 289. The new numbers are being implemented in order to keep up with the growing population in the regions. They'll be introduced starting next March, which gives residents another year to snatch up 416 or 905 numbers.
The federal government is investigating accusations that RCMP officers in northern British Columbia abused and threatened First Nations women. The allegations include pepper spraying, tasering, and rape. Human Rights Watch, a group that brings worldwide attention to victims of abuse, say the eyes of the world should be on northern BC. The organization is recommending cross-cultural training for all officers.
Our nation's capital can officially be called the country's most adulterous city. Stats from AshleyMadison.com, a matchmaking site that is catered to cheaters, revealed that Ottawa topped the charts. Toronto did not land in the top 3. On the other end of the love stick, a list released by Amazon cited Victoria as the country's most romantic city, based on the number of romantic videos, novels, activities linked to that area. Oakville ranked number 14 on the list.
After the break, we'll take a look at international news.
The Pope makes his first appearance since announcing his resignation, and the 4,000 passengers stranded on the powerless cruise ship are still a day away from reaching shore. Find out more after the break.
Welcome back. One Oakville family is using Valentine's Day to pay tribute to the memory of a lost child and raise funds for a worthy cause. Eye On Sher's Katie Breen has the story.
Luke was a sweet, sweet child. I mean, he had a lot of health issues. I mean, he had a small heart. He had a very, very severe heart defect. He would be poked with needles, and he had open heart surgery, and he had a scar from here to here, yet he always had a smile to give and a hug to give. He was just an amazing kid, and I'm so lucky that he was mine.
The 22 months that he was alive, this little boy, he went through a lot. He was on several medications, but he was lovable.
Busy volunteers kept the cookies coming while donators gobbled them up.
Luke's legacy is growing each and every year. The goal is to rename the Sick Kids Cardiac Care Center in his honor. They're working their way there, one cookie at a time.
I come here to help out and also to decorate cookies and just as a volunteer. Well, there's a lot of hearts around because it's Luke's legacy. It's also its symbol, and it's to show the love from Luke. I think it's supposed to be Carolyn's hand and like Luke's hand.
By doing this every year, it shows people that we've got the courage to move on, and we've got the courage to support a hospital that was so good to us. And Sick Kids has been phenomenal, and I just want to do whatever I can so other children who have heart defects will have a positive outcome going forward.
For Eye On Sheridan, I'm Katie Breen.
Pope Benedict XVI appeared before thousands of churchgoers this morning in his first public appearance since announcing his resignation. The 85-year-old entered to a lengthy standing ovation. He then explained that he stepped down Monday for the good of the church because he lacked the strength to continue. The decision to abdicate the position marks the first time a pope has stepped down in nearly 600 years. Pope Benedict will continue to serve as leader of the Vatican until February 28th.
In Tibet, a protester set himself on fire while chanting anti-China slogans as he ran down the streets of Kathmandu. The protests marked the 101st time a Tibetan monk, nun, or civilian has set themselves on fire. The protests are calling for Beijing to allow greater religious freedom and the return of their spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, who lives in India.
Rogue LAPD officer Christopher Dorner is believed dead after the cabin where he was hiding went up in flames. Dorner took shelter in the cabin last Thursday, 4 days after a deadly rampage that claimed 4 lives. The search for the former cop ended yesterday when the man believed to be Dorner bolted from hiding, stole 2 cars, and locked himself back in the cabin. The hunt ended in a furious shootout where Dorner killed 1 sheriff's deputy and injured another. The cabin then erupted in flames. A charred body was later found inside. An autopsy is being performed to confirm the body is indeed Dorner's.
The Carnival Triumph, a cruise ship that lost power because of an engine fire, is being towed to Alabama. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, the ship is expected to arrive in the coastal United States today or tomorrow, depending on sea conditions. Long lines for food and the bathroom are just some of the horrible conditions that passengers are facing. Carnival has already announced that it will issue a full refund to the more than 3,000 vacationers. Carnival Corp also owned the Costa Concordia, the wreck that caused several fatalities last year off the Italian coast.
In his State of the Union address last night, President Barack Obama pledged to restore economic order in the U.S. He also faced issues regarding gun violence head-on.
Overwhelming majorities of Americans who believe in the Second Amendment, have come together around common sense reform, like background checks that will make it harder for criminals to get their hands on a gun.
The president went on to name some of the victims of the Newton massacre. He focused on the future and safety of children in light of the recent violence. He brought up other issues and announced his intention to bring home over 66,000 troops from Afghanistan. Canadians are asking questions about the IOC's decision to drop wrestling from the Olympics. The 14 members of the International Olympic Committee have voted to remove wrestling from the Olympic Games as of 2020. The popular sport was part of every modern Olympic Games but one. This is a big blow for Canada. We've medaled in wrestling 5 times since 2004.
It's not the Olympics, but it's the biggest dog show in the world. And Banana Joe peeled ahead to pick up Best in Show at the Westminster Kennel Club.
Joey Banana Joe.
The tiny Affenpinscher walked off as America's top dog last night. The 5-year-old wagged his tail like nobody's business after earning his 86th Best in Show title. Affectionately called a monkey dog because he looks just like one, he made up for near misses in the last 2 years at the event. It was a timely win. He was set to return to the Netherlands, but his trip has been postponed for his victory lap.
Coming up, we've got all the latest in entertainment and sports.
And the weather, including your 5-day forecast. Stay tuned.
Nazar?
Thanks, guys. The Real Madrid-Manchester United match that everyone has been waiting for is happening today in the Champions League round of 16. This will be marking the first time Madrid superstar Cristiano Ronaldo will be facing his old team since his departure from Old Trafford. This game will also feature the return of a bitter rivalry between managers Sir Alex Ferguson and Jose Mourinho. In an update, the score is currently 1-1 at the half on goals by Danny Welbeck and Ronaldo. Toronto Blue Jays pitchers and catchers were scheduled to report for spring training in Dunedin, Florida Tuesday, but they weren't alone. With so much excitement and hype over this year's team with the acquisitions of Jose Reyes, R.A. Dickey, and other big-name free agents, the feeling has transferred over to the players. Superstar slugger Jose Bautista made an early appearance at spring training and was vocal about the high expectations set for this year's squad.
An exciting season. Everybody's seeing the moves. All the bodies are here now, and it's all hopefully we remain healthy. And if all that happens, it should the season should take care of itself. We should be in the playoffs and hopefully the World Series.
Sheridan College recently introduced the new mantra, the Sheridan Way. The college expects to follow the 4 main pillars of the new mantra. Danny Schertzer has the story.
The balance between student and athlete is an important one to maintain. Sheridan College has developed a new way to achieve that.
First and foremost, when you're here, we expect you to study. Secondly, when they're here, we want them to compete. And compete can encompass a lot of things, but first and foremost, it means we want them to compete fairly on the court. Thirdly, we want to make sure that they graduate. And lastly, success or to succeed could be looked at in 2 ways. One is to succeed on the court or the classroom.
Varsity athletes know that in order to play, they need to have good grades.
Players come and go, and unfortunately it's due to academics.
For student athletes, having this mantra gives Sheridan a different feeling from other colleges where sometimes athletics overshadows the classroom.
It separates our varsity program from most other varsity programs in Ontario in a way that our athletes are here for schooling as well as sports, and sometimes a lot of schools don't have that same thought.
It's shown a way that we're not just here to play a sport. We're here to graduate from college, get a job, and then just remember all the fun that we had playing our sport as well as getting our degrees.
The Sheridan Way is not just a motto, it's a mindset, one in which both academics and athletics are on equal footing. For Eye On Sheridan, I'm Danny Schertzer, Oakville.
The Raptors were in action last night as they were taking on the Denver Nuggets from the ACC. DeMar DeRozan set the tone in the first half with a huge slam on Timothy Mozgov. Enjoy the poster, Mozgov. I'll get you to sign that one later. John Lucas III was making it rain from three-point land. He was 4 for 6 from beyond the arc. This one went down to the wire, and it was newly acquired Raptor Rudy Gay hitting the game winner. Raps win, final score 109-108. The Dinos will be in action again tonight at MSG as they take on the New York Knicks. And now for your highlight of the night, we go to Boston, where the Bruins and Rangers were scoreless in the first, and it's the pride and joy of Brampton, Ontario, Rick Nash making the ridiculous feed to Carl Hagelin, who makes no mistake. That is your highlight of the night. That's all for sports, but hey, Ashley, what's going on in the world of entertainment? Are you going to give us any ideas for St. Valentine's Day?
Well, Nash, Sheridan's production of the musical Chicago is already underway, so it might be a good idea to grab tickets for your sweetheart. Melissa Williams went to check it out, take a sneak peek of the big show.
Get ready as Sheridan's musical theater students go back into the time machine with their rendition of the musical play Chicago.
I played the character of Mary Sunshine. She is the lead news reporter of the cast. I'm playing in drag, obviously, so it's a lot of fun.
Behind the glitz, glam, singing, and dance numbers, the cast still has to find a balance between the stage and reality.
Managing schoolwork and your life and everything it's really hard.
Although this is her first time directing a play at Sheridan, Marcia Cash is not new to the theater scene. She has about 20 years of directing under her belt. She gave us a sneak peek of what to expect from the show.
Well, you can see a lot of very talented kids doing a really slap-up job of a show that is not an easy show. Some very challenging choreography and some challenging concepts.
Tickets for Chicago range from $20 to $25 and can be purchased at the Sheridan's box office. The show runs for 2 weeks. For Eye On Sheridan, I'm Melissa Williams.
Mirvish Productions is taking a new spin on the classic musical Les Mis. It's announced 14 shows of the epic 19th century tale for the 2013-2014 season. The play is set to open at the Princess of Wales Theatre in October. Producer Cameron McIntosh says the sets are new and based on the paintings by Victor Hugo, just in time for the 25th anniversary of the production. Ukrainian TV presenter and celebrity prankster Vitaly Sedyuk was charged with trespassing at Sunday's Grammys in LA and spent the night in jail. Vitaly, an uninvited guest to the annual music awards, rushed the stage when British singer Adele accepted her award from Jennifer Lopez. J-Lo was the first to notice, signaling him to get out of there. Sedyuk is the same notorious interviewer who received a slap across the face from actor Will Smith last year for trying to kiss him. A new no-holds-barred documentary about Beyoncé entitled Life is But a Dream is set to air this Saturday on HBO. Over the past couple of years, she recorded video diaries on her computer, and now she's going to share them with the rest of the world. The Grammy-winning singer has been private about her life in the past, but she felt the time was right to let people get a glimpse behind the superstar's public persona. Lady Gaga is canceling 3 upcoming shows, including one in Hamilton. Gaga says she's suffering severe inflammation of the joints, and her doctor has ordered her to postpone her tour. The Born This Way ball performances will resume after the 17th of February. Well, hopefully the Fame Monster will be back in action soon. That's all for the best in entertainment. Now back to the desk.
When we come back, we'll give you the full 5-day forecast.
Is another storm on the way? Stay tuned to find out.
Welcome back to Eye on Sheridan.
Before we get to the weather, let's talk about how Sheridan students can fundraise for a good cause. A Canadian comedy icon is challenging students to raise funds to purchase mosquito nets for African families. Stephen Pike joins us from CBC Toronto through Skype. Stephen, I hear you've met with somebody pretty important.
Rick Mercer report. He was explaining why he targeted students, why they're so important because they are so good at fundraising. Earlier today, I also got to speak with Sheridan staff and students to see what they had to say about it. Let's see what they had to say.
The penny may not be valuable to many people since it's been discontinued, but here at Sheridan, tourism and travel students are asking you to donate those pennies to help spread the net.
So we've entered the Student Challenge, and we're competing against 15 other colleges and universities this year in trying to raise money for Spread the Net. And if Sheridan wins, Rick Mercer from the Rick Mercer Report will come and shoot an episode here at Sheridan College in March.
Spread the Net is a charity organization, and it's basically started because malaria is a big problem in Africa and a lot of people were dying from it, and it was just a simple solution as providing bed nets that are treated with insecticide. And so basically the money that we're collecting will go to provide bed nets for those children.
We are doing a Valentine theme right now, so what you can do is write a name of someone you love in one of our hearts, throw it in the nets. You can purchase stickers, you can purchase Valentine's cards. It's a good cause.
Maybe if I learned a little more, I think I would donate in the future.
Not personally at the moment, just because I just heard about it, but it sounds like a really good cause.
If you're still looking for a way to celebrate Valentine's Day, come check out Spread the Net booth here in the B Wing at Sheridan College, where any money you spend will go towards a charitable cause to help children in need. For Eye On Sheridan, I'm Stephen Pike, Oakville.
Now, the snowstorm last Friday sure altered my weekend plans. Let's see what we have in store for us this time. Riley?
Thanks, guys. You can see me right behind me. It is beautiful. We're at 1 degree and no sun or clouds. Now let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. Let's start with Valentine's Day. That is right, guys, Valentine's Day. Make sure you grab your honey and some gifts because you do not want to miss it. Thursday, you'll have some mixed weather with a high of 3 degrees and a low of 6. Friday, with some variable cloudiness with a high of 1 degree and a low of -7. Heading to the weekend, Saturday will be cloudy with a high of -6 and a low of -12. Sunday will be cloudy with some sunny breaks. It'll have a high of -6 and a low of -15. On Monday, we'll see some variable cloudiness and a high of 2 degrees and a low of -9. That is it for me. Back to you guys at the desk.
The Bell Let's Talk campaign was a huge success, raising almost $5 million for mental health awareness. Twitter and Facebook were abuzz with an abundance of support from social network users. The campaign was designed in order to raise awareness for mental health issues across Canada. Canadians went all the way with over 96 million tweets, texts, and Facebook shares. Notable names such as Justin Bieber, William Shatner, and even Prime Minister Stephen Harper contributed to the cause. The health initiative was launched in September 2010. That's all we have for today. For Eye On Sheridan, I'm Emily Johnson.
And I'm Ben Carter. Thanks for being you.